Hello, everyone. My name is Josh. Welcome to day 4 of the e-commerce business. I got to find a name for this. I need you all to help me find a name for this. So I don't know. There's a problem here. Am I even live? I need to switch the name. We got some problems here. There we go. We're live. We're here. We're rolling in. We're here. We're live. We're live. Sometimes OBS Studio makes a little mistake. That's okay. We can forgive it. It is what it is. I need to think of a new name for the e-commerce business because everyone is like asking, is this the software you're talking about? Is it the e-commerce vertical? Is it the AI? Like, what is it that you're talking about? So I think the e-commerce video, I'm going to start calling it the document, unless you all can think of a better name. I was thinking this $100 million challenge is for the e-commerce business only, the e-commerce business that we are building right now on day 4. So I thought of maybe calling it the document, and that would kind of be like an insider thing that only we would know. So I would keep saying the $100 million document or the document, which means this business, this e-commerce business, or you could call it the dossier. But I thought it'd be cool because then amongst each other, we can all call it the document or the dossier or whatever, but it's really just documenting our progress. So maybe I'll call it we've called it the stuff business, the e-commerce business. I don't like the sound of any of it. The document sounds awesome. We're building the document. That sounds like, I don't know, Mission Impossible. But in this case, Mission Very Possible. So what do I have to talk about today? Sales are rolling in. Both accounts are visible. So if you've been following this for the past couple of days, we had the record store and the bookstore both invisible. You couldn't see any of the items coming up on eBay. Then the record store went visible. The items went visible. Now the bookstore is going visible. I don't know if there's a lag or not on the visibility of those items, but you can start seeing this stuff rolling in. The two accounts, we're going to go here. We are running 2 eBay accounts. One is Listeasierrecords. The other is Listeasierrecords. If you want to follow along, it's on eBay. Come check us out. We are now at 1,415 listings live. That's on both stores. We have listed, the dollar amount of listed inventory is $34,805, and that's in the US dollar. Here, we have been live for 4 days. This is only our 4th day building this business. Almost $35,000 worth of inventory listed, 4 days in. One person listing. And then, of course, revenue. Our revenue is bumped. We're at about $909 Canadian, so we're getting close to the $1,000 mark. So things are going really, really well. Now, I personally would expect the sales numbers to kind of plateau a little bit. I've had this when I've started eBay accounts on my own before, where things slow down until you can prove that you're going to ship. These items are going to arrive, right? They're going to their destination. You're uploading, you're shipping, tracking numbers on time, you're shipping on time, the customer's receiving it, they're giving feedback, all these other things. So I would fully expect a little bit of a plateau here for us on this number, the revenue side. So somebody had asked, can you post the amount that you're selling? That's what revenue is. So this is the amount that we're selling. So for you out there who's asked, please post your sales numbers. That's it right here. That's revenue. We put the revenue as our sales numbers. So that's our gross revenue, how much we've sold, the total dollar amount. Net amount, we'll figure that out by the end of the year. At a net amount would be very difficult. And by net, you think of it as a net captures something and brings it to you. So net is the amount you get to keep after everything is stripped out, like expenses and everything else. We have so much stuff coming in that those numbers won't become really visible for us for at least a few months. So that's always a way, if you get confused between gross and net, is gross, your gross income, you think to yourself, it is gross how much money still has to come out of this number. right? That's the big number. Net is you throw the net and you capture. That's what you get after all the expenses are stripped out. So things are rolling. We got items going up here. We have items going out. I'm really, really inspired by the numbers that are like, especially the listed number. So that's our primary goal right now, is get that listed number up. We are doing our best to acquire the best inventory we can in bulk. So that's where that filter is. We're not out there looking for garbage. We're looking for good stuff and we're looking to buy it en masse. Then it's all up to the process. We make our prices competitive. Everything else is up to the process. We put it into the process, and that's the business. So I'm very impressed and very happy with the way things are going. But I would expect this number is going to go up, the listed number. You'll see this continue to go up and up and up and up. But this number is going to slow down here. The total revenue is going to slow down, I think, until we prove ourselves to the platform that we're doing what we said we were going to do. So here we are, and we're rocking and rolling. And the other thing I want to say is, if you just do a fraction of what we're doing, like follow along, show up every single day with us, but you just do a fraction of what we're going to do here, or what I think we're going to do, I'm confident we're going to do, you can build something incredible. And if you're new here, you'll see the people in the chat following along and doing their thing and building. And it's easier now than it used to be. It used to be very difficult. To pull numbers like this in 4 days would almost be impossible. It was a lot of work and would require a lot of people. It doesn't anymore. It still requires a lot of work, but the framing of the work has changed. The work is now not the center of the business, which is the process. The process used to be the most work. Now the most work would be shipping, staying organized, managing your inventory, ensuring that you're getting good inventory coming in, building contacts, all the things that you want to do in your business, managing cash flow, all the things you want to do. The things you don't want to do is have manually intensive processes in the middle of your business that's preventing you from doing the things that will actually grow your business. So we're rolling here. I'm excited. I hope you're all doing this too. I want to see everybody do it. I want to see everyone build, and it's very inspiring. We saw the numbers starting in the new year, like a rapid ramp of people with their New Year's resolutions, listing, getting through death piles, really ramping up their businesses. And also it's inspiring because towards the end of the year, I'd heard a lot of people had said to me, hey, when January rolls around, I'm hitting it hard. And you never know. Like, to me, you start thinking, well, it might be a procrastination tactic, this and that, but no, people are really going for it and they're growing their businesses, which is awesome. So it's just awesome. Everything's awesome. Love it. James Helferstay says, I'm only here to see if Josh brought me a drink into work today. Yeah, I've got one here. Actually, James, I've had more than enough caffeine. I brought one here for you. This one's for you. I had more than enough caffeine today, and I just got back from the dentist, and my mouth is killing me. So I don't know about all of you, but I used to brush my teeth really hard, and my gums receded up. So when I go to the dentist, sometimes if they're rough, I can feel it in my mouth. So, but I brought you a drink. I don't know if I'm going to crack this one open or not. I have to think about it. Upstate Picker says, good morning. Good morning to you, Upstate Picker. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Missy B says, you are live. Perfect. There is like another live broadcast waiting to start. That was a mess up on OBS Studio. So we're just going to abandon that one and delete it later. Lucky Finds says, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Lucky Finds. Welcome, welcome. Lag says, hello. Good to see you, Lag. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Missy B says, good morning. Kevin Hawthorne says, good afternoon from Lakeland, Florida. Good morning to you, Missy. And Kevin, good afternoon to you. Welcome, welcome. Florida's greatest right there. Lead Belt Emporium, hey, ready to go. I haven't looked forward to an 11 a.m. like this since Rush Limbaugh. That's awesome. Welcome, Lead Belt Emporium. That's awesome. Thank you. That's a compliment. That is awesome. We're all pumped. We're in a good flow right now. The flow state is good. Behind the Bubble Wrap says, good morning, folks. Good morning to you. Honestly, everyone, when was the last time, like in the past previous years, that we've seen this much excitement? And it's not just this video, but I'm seeing it in other people's videos too. There's excitement. It's changed now. People are anticipating and excited and doing and all the things. Like, this feels good. I don't know about a lot of you, but if you would have asked me in 2021 or 2022, I would have said the future is bleak because there's too much mania. Everyone's an expert. People who have no business leading the pack, like the hustlers and the hucksters and the cons and the silver tongues, that kind of crowd, they're out there, they're all over the place, and all the things that are going on. And it just was mania. It was so easy. Everyone's making money. Everyone is, I saw a video about shoes, people flipping shoes, and it was just insane. Pokemon cards, all this other stuff, like total insanity. And you think to yourself when that happens, and it was going on in 2021, how much higher can the market go? Like, it is everywhere. It's in pure mania. There's only really one direction for it to go, which is down, and it did go down. Now, after 3 years or so of funk, we're starting to see we're coming out of the bottom. And like, well, wait a sec, and that's how it goes. It's up and down and up and down. So the survivors of the last hard time over the past 3 years or so are going to come out of this with new technology, new processes, and literally the world is your oyster. So I'm very excited, and I like seeing other people excited for the future as well. I think it's very bright. Snoopy Collector says, hello, good to see you. Snoopy Collector, welcome, welcome. The pink hand waves, hello. Lag says the List Easier shop. This is the List Easier shop, yeah. The List Easier warehouse. I see a barcode reader there. That's super cool. That's the change that's happened. So I like to talk about what changes have happened. And I forgot to do that because this is the document. So what changes have happened in the document? There's a scanner here. On my end of things, the payroll stuff seems fully ready to go now. So there was some risk management they wanted to do. We've been accepted. Everything is fine. It's good. It's clean. It's ready to go. I did book a meeting with them on Monday because I want to make sure that I know what I'm doing so they can explain it to me. I have 5 or 6 questions, and I'd rather do it face to face so that, I want to talk to them and see if I'm doing this correctly, because one thing that we always lived by in construction is you never mess with people's wages. You never mess with the wages. So I want to make sure it is dead on and everything is good to go. I don't want any errors. I want that to be smooth. And I'm going to talk with them on Monday about it to make sure. We had 4 pallets of books come in. This was ordered a few weeks ago. Super Dave ordered them. And as you can see, they're already starting to go up. So these are vintage books from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They're going up now. So everything it's rocking and rolling. Stuff is coming in and stuff is starting to sell and starting to go out, which is awesome. Where Pigs Fly Farm says, I am addicted to List Easier. Thank you for bringing it to us. You are welcome, Where Pigs Fly. I want to say this too. Thank you, first of all, for saying that. And I'm glad you're addicted to it. That's a good thing. But it's the software is meaningless if people don't take the time to do it. So, you still have people out there. First of all, 99% of the people out there aren't even using the software. They just don't use it. They will not use the software or any software at all. But of the 1%, you still have people who are like, I know This is going to help my business. I know it's going to grow my business, but they just can't take the leap of actually doing it. So it is all you. It's all you. It's using the software is a little almost more work. It's less work when you start using it, but then when the sales start rolling in, you're packing all the time. As Primo Chemo says, like, they almost don't make shows because they got to pack and pack and pack and pack. And people will find that when you start using the software that you're going to get busy with packing. I know they packed all morning here to get the stuff out in time. And I hope you're all experiencing that as well, because that is the best feeling when you hear people out there saying, my items aren't getting views, I'm not selling, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I'm so busy packing. I want this for everyone. Maybe I will have this drink here, James. Sorry, James. Have to get you next time. I'm drinking yours. John James says, hi, Josh. Both still invisible from the UK. I assume GSP is switched off. Yes. Thank you for pointing that out, John James. Our listings are not visible right now in Europe or anywhere other than the United States. I think we need 10 or something sales before, like successfully delivered sales before we can go into the GSP program or whatever it's called now. So we did ship a few items internationally. We've turned it on turned it off because it's a bit of a pain. So we're going to wait for our domestic sales to start ramping up, and then we'll turn on international sales, and then it will be visible. Mild-eyed Biff says, I didn't see your first. Biff says, also, best items naturally get cherry-picked at the beginning in any category. Definitely, yeah, definitely. People will always look for the best, for sure. J.R. Rodeffer says, nice. Also, J.R. Rodeffer says, has Flex gone from soon to scheduled for release? I'm prepped and ready to slam it. So the way the system works with Flex or anything that we release is we send it to the beta testers, and then we're like, find it, something that's wrong. Test all these different categories. Don't just use it in, let's say, hats or, I don't know, making some bubble wrap. Like, test it in as many categories as you can. And sometimes they'll come back and they'll say, well, in this category, this thing didn't work, this item specific. Sometimes that leads to a lot of problem. So Scott talked about this, and I actually don't want to bring this up because our competitors will have to go through these things as well, or whoever the competitors are, if they decide to try and do what we're doing. But there are things that we have found that are extremely difficult and complicated problems. And it shows up as a little micro edge case, something small, no big deal. And what it actually is exposing is a huge flaw, not in our software, but in our connection to eBay or in, how we interface with eBay itself. So there are times where the beta testers will come back and say, oh, I had this small little thing, and it's like the tip of the iceberg, which requires a whole lot of work underneath. So that's kind of what's going on here. So it's not, JR, it's not like we don't want to, like, it's not like, oh, we're holding this from people, but there are these things that come up and they require a pile of work. So we had a massive breakthrough, I think it was yesterday or the day before. That was a huge one, but it did create 22 punch points that had to be fixed or something along those lines. I think we're down to 8 now, last time I checked, or last time I talked to Super Dave, or maybe it's a little bit less than that. But, this is how it goes with this. So when we build it, we're super pumped because from the ground up, we've used it and tested it, and it's working great. We put it out to the beta testers. We ask them to break it, and they break it. And then it's like, oh, what's the problem? And, it's like, how do I explain it? It's kind of like looking for a needle in a haystack. You give someone a haystack and they jump in and they say, I pricked myself. And you're like, okay, where did you prick yourself? And they're like, I don't know. And we don't know, so we got to go find it. And it's this like detective work of trying to find out what's causing this problem. And sometimes it's really fast and sometimes it takes longer. We had this originally with when we launched the batches. So when we launched List Easier batches, it was the same thing. We had people that we had to roll out category by category by category until we got to all 18,000 categories, because the prompt engineering is different on every category, but also the API connection is different, which is how we send information to eBay. Excuse me. It's how we send information to eBay. So in each case, we have to make these changes, and people would say, why is my category not up yet? I asked for it a week ago. And it would take us an entire week to properly integrate the prompt engineering and the AP and our software with the API. It's just how it goes. So I hope that answers the question. Nobody wants Flex more than the four of us. We want it more than anyone. There's nothing worse than, you take someone like Travis the Brain, and he's been working day in and day out and day in and day out, and no one's coming back and saying, wow, this is great. Great job. They're coming back and saying there's a problem here, there's a problem there. And I just can't imagine the amount of mental fortitude you have to keep just dealing with it and then fix it. And then you send it back, and then there's another thing, and you fix it and and it just goes on and on and on and on. So I know for me, when I see all the problems, the issues, I don't want to say all the problems, but edge case stuff like, on this deodorant, it's not recognizing the UPC code. Well, there's a special thing in UPCs for deodorant within the API that's required, and we have to figure out what it is. It's just stuff like that. So when that stuff comes up, it frustrates me, because all I want to do is get it out, and we want to use it ourselves, but we're almost there. I think Scott found something this morning. So I would just say to the beta testers, James and Scott, if you're watching this, just keep going. Go find weird things and keep trying it, and let's get this thing ready to rock and roll. I think Travis deserves a break. He probably could use a break. Beard King Picker Alex says, good day, sir. Good day, Alex. Welcome, welcome. Jovial Juggler Rhonda says, Josh counting his beans. Bean. J.R. Rodeffer says, my January was in August. Nice. Den Decor Depot says. Where are you there? Oh, good day, Josh. Etsy suspended us for Washington Redskins vintage items. It looks like we might get reinstated. You know what? Stuff like that, it's difficult. This is sometimes the issue with over enforcement. Like, I get why, I understand, but really that is such a heavy-handed thing for how abundant that sports memorabilia is, right? It's everywhere, so anyone can make that mistake. That doesn't mean it represents anything from the seller. It was just something they listed. So I get it. And, I think Etsy really, all of them have to really take care that they're not being too heavy-handed with this kind of stuff. Like, they could just remove it and say, hey, we don't allow that. What's the big deal? Why a suspension? Right, Den Decor? The Quirky Picker Chad. What's the $909 in Canada is $655. Isn't comparing Canadian currency to US currency kind of like apples and oranges? Why don't you just convert the revenue into USD? Because it's more work. Because it's the only reason why is because it's more work. We get our reports on these accounts in CAD, and that would require us to switch it to the daily rate and blah, blah, blah. So our listed numbers go up in USD, and the revenue shows up to us from eBay in their reports in CAD. So we can build something very simple that gathers that data and then puts it into this overlay. And that's just what we do. It gets very complicated when you have to convert at the daily rate. So the idea is we don't want to turn this into some super complicated process where now we have to, there's all these steps involved. Converting at the daily rate, number of solds, what's your net profit, all this other stuff. We could take an hour then and start trying to get these numbers and everything before the broadcast, but that costs us a lot of money, right? We have an employee. So we just report it as we get it, and then everyone else can convert it if they want to. So if this number is $655 USD, anybody can convert it. They just go to the Forex currency conversion and do it if they want to. But we did put it in CAD so that people would know that, that's how we're getting it to us. That's how it goes in our bank account. Joe Samard says, hello, Josh. Welcome, Joe. I don't think, Chad, I don't think this is, us being, hiding anything. I think, if anything, by putting that it's in CAD, it's showing more transparency. Had 3 pieces and technically 3 violations. It's still, Rob Special Interest says, oh my gosh, I've just been talking to myself on the other live chat till you mentioned it. I don't know what happened there. So when Rob, when I went to go send this stream live, the first time it said that it failed and it gave me all this HTML of why it failed. So I just put it up a second time. I don't know what's going on. Silver Tongue Picker. I called it. My new gamer tag. Nice, Slag. Nice. Rob Special Interest says, can you put the links up again? I missed the live yesterday and I just call mine the shop. You know what, Rob? It might not help you because our listings aren't showing live in the UK right now. But I will put the names of the store so that you guys can find it. The first one is Listeasierrecords. And the next one is Listeasierbooks. So that's in the chat now. That's me typing. Books. I am a man of books. John, the man in the house, says, hey, Josh, I am rooting for you and will be following your journey. Thank you, John. I appreciate you. Question, are you sorting your inventory based on value, then listing them in batches by price? No, so we have something coming, and I don't even want to tease it. The beta testers know, though, but we have something coming that is going to work out prices. I just don't want to say it because people are going to be like, when's it coming? When's it coming? When's it coming? And then I'm going to get myself in the same situation that I'm in with Flex, where, we've got people in Australia and the UK that they've been taking pictures. They have thousands of pictures now of items. And they're like, where is this thing? This costs us money. We need it. Or, I got distracted, but I really have been looking for that for a long time. So I want to make sure I get a picture of it. I just want to make sure that I don't say anything about it, but that will solve itself out. Until then, we are blanket listing. So we list, we'll list maybe 400 items, and then I'll manually go through it right now and adjust prices on things that it's abundantly clear that it's worth a lot more money. So, if a record we listed at $19.99, I go and check and I'm like, well, wait a sec, this is a $150 record. Then I will adjust the price. I'll go through the last 400. That's how we're doing it right now, and I can do that remotely. However, we did have 3 records slip through that were worth more than $100, and they got them for $20 a piece. And that's just going to they got a deal on 3, and we're not going to lose any sleep over it. Is what it is. But that's kind of how we're doing that right now. The books are all going out flat price, but they are very unique one-off books. And you'll see that inside the account, that they're mostly unique, one-off, hard to find. So we can create price on that, and that's okay. So that's kind of where we're at with the pricing, but the pricing will improve with a rollout that will be coming soon, but I don't even want to say anything about anything until Flex is done. That's the number one right now. JR Rodeffer says, I might get 1% of List Easier's goal. Like, how awesome is that? That's the whole point, JR. That's the whole point. If you even do 1%. So that's exactly why we're doing the document. I want to call it the document. It sounds so good. This e-commerce business is the document. That's why we want to do the document, because you can just tear a little piece off the document and just say that all I want to do is that piece. And look what you can do. That's the whole thing. That's what this is all about. You know, if you just do a tiny fraction, it's there. It's out there. I can't say it enough, though. This will not be the case in 5 years. In 5 years, everyone lists this way. And people will understand that when they use the software. So if you never use the software, you might be skeptical. Once you've used it, you get it. You're like, yes, it'll never go the other way again. Ever, 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 never. It's over. The old-fashioned way is done. Right now, I would say less than 1% of eBay sellers use the software. Any software out there, any software. Probably less than 0.01%. Like, it's a really, really small number. In 5 years, it might be 50% or 40%. But there's a lot of opportunity in this 5 years where, and JR, I know you're not saying this, but you unlock something, and I thank you for it. In this 5 years, you have the opportunity to get a competitive advantage over everyone else. So while people are twiddling their thumbs, or they're waiting, or they're not sure, or they just don't know about it, or don't care, you have an opportunity to get ahead. The majority of people on YouTube that come across this video will only look at it for a second. They see the title and they're like, oh, this guy's trying to sell something. You get it once you use it. And there's no bridging that gap. That will happen naturally, because I hate to be an absolutist, and I don't want to be an absolutist. But in 5, maybe 7 years, nobody lists the old-fashioned way, because you cannot remain competitive. No one will do it. And why would you? Like, why would you take an hour to do something that you can do in like a minute? So, but that's the whole point, JR. And I'm trying to be good at saying that, but just take the document and just rip a little tiny piece off and put it in your pocket and say, that's all I got to do. That's for me. And with that, I can create something incredible. James says, that's mine. It's so rude. I'll save you a little bit, James. I'll mail it to you. JR Rodeffer says, this year will be a banger percentage gainer due to List Easier and 10x the listings already that you've started since August. Yeah, it's going to be a big year. For many, many people, it's going to be a big year. Consequently, though, with the winners, there will be losers. For some, it will be the worst year they've ever had. For others, it will be, like you, 10x what you've ever had. So at this point, for many people that are watching, it's just a matter of just keep going. You don't have to change anything. Just make sure your inventory is well managed. Your taxes are, on par. That's something you got to deal with. That you're buying well. Don't just buy stuff to put it through the software. So if it's junk, don't do it. Comics is one that scares me. I don't know comics that well, but you can get a lot of comics that won't even sell for $1. I would not buy that stuff just to run it through the software. But if you're buying well and you're, mindful of that, you can do something incredible. Totally. James says, Dave was supposed to make an AI program to get me soda through the screen. Nice. Just lick the screen and maybe it will taste like soda. You never know. Eric Bricey says, hello from Ohio, Ohio, Ohio. I don't know if that's from the college football, but for some reason, whenever I hear Ohio, that song goes in my head. Yeah, Rob Special Interest says, GPS. Yes, I remember eBay giving it to me about a month in. So there you go. So we have to wait for the global shipping program, or GSP, GPS, whatever it's called. Eric has got a USB foot pedal. That's awesome. These will pay off, Eric. All this stuff pays off. It does. These kind of investments, this is what makes scaling painful, is that when you scale in the beginning, you have to get the proper boxes, shelving, all these other things, inventory. It makes it painful. But once the machine is rolling and it's spitting back, it gets a lot more comfortable. So, and things like this, it makes a difference. Doing it without that kind of stuff makes it a little bit more painful, which means you might not want to do it. But having these things available, it really makes a difference. It really does. JR says, I get your SW difficulties. What is SW again? I don't remember what that stands for. I just have I just have probably 4 or 5 pounds worth of stuff to list more or less individually. So feed the boys pizza and Pepsi. There was a time where we sent Travis a case of Red Bull. That was when we were sending the batch stuff out. In this case, there's almost nothing more he can do. So it's not like it's like a back end thing or is programming that needs to be done. We just need these little tiny things that are floating around out there to be, found. It's like, I don't know. I love doing analogies, but it's like running around a soccer field in bare feet. And you just say to the guys, go running around in bare feet, look for any rose thorns that may be in the field. So the only way to find it is for them to just keep running and running and running and running until the field is so thoroughly trampled that you know that none of those rose thorns are in the field. But every once in a while they come back, they say, I found one, it's in my foot, and we have to figure out why it was put there or how it got there. And that's the difficult thing. But there's nothing he can really do. It's more keep getting this feedback coming in from the boys. Trail Cam T says, when using Listeasier to list vintage t-shirts, I've noticed that if a shirt doesn't have a size tag, the AI focuses more on what's printed on the shirt, which makes sense for vintage. But when a shirt does have a size tag, it puts much weight in the tag or the brand or the graphic. For vintage tees, the graphic is what buyers care about, similar to postcards where no one cares what paper it's printed on, only the image. Yeah, so again, the only thing I can say about this, I can't speak to each individual things. It's one of the things that comes up the most is why did it do this and why did it do that? So the AI is built to optimize. So it's taking the information that you make available to it and it's optimizing it for a sale. It's optimizing it for offsite rank. So, what the kind of where we're at with this then is if you're a vintage t-shirt seller, you would say, I know what buyers want and they don't like it when it does that in the title. Whereas Listeasier is doing it on complex algorithms with a ton of prompt engineering behind it, where it's looking at what has previously sold, what have buyers searched for, what has historically converted, what is going to provide the best offsite rank. And there are also things on eBay, certain words that are demoted. So all these things are happening at once and all these calculations are happening so that it can create an optimized title. One of the ones that people said was sealed or new, new, put new in a DVD, for example. The issue here is every single DVD that's new has new in the title. So what happens is that eBay ranks the word down. right? The keyword becomes less effective because it's in absolutely every single DVD that's new. So it ranks lower. When it ranks lower, the algorithm is now changed again where it's not going to put that in there. So, and there's competition for the word where the words are. So for each individual case, because I get this a lot, I can't say anything about it. We are always at this kind of intersection where we have sellers that want things a certain way. And do we give that to them, or do we maintain what we said we were going to do and keep everything optimized for sell through? So we've chosen this hill to die on, and why it does this or that. Why does it choose the tag on this one? Why does it choose the band on that one? I don't know. If it is looking at like a Grateful Dead t-shirt, if the Grateful Dead t-shirts sell on Liquid Blue more and you have a Liquid Blue tag, it might choose Liquid Blue. I really don't know. So, but again, I can bring it into postcards where people will put on the postcard title, like a buyer will put Milan, Italy postcard. The sellers will put vintage 1970 scalloped edge, divided back, unposted. All these things. None of it matters. Absolutely none of it matters. What matters is what's reported in the chat, which is my sales have increased dramatically. My off-site visibility has increased dramatically. This is not coming from me. It's what our sellers are saying. So as long as that continues, we know that the right things are happening, that the prompt engineering is correct. It's been back tested, and then we just keep going with it. Yeah, JR Roadeffer says, 99% is easier than the last 1% on code. You just never know, JR, what, it's not immediately evident what the issue is. So eBay doesn't come out to us and say, hey, just so you know, something we did in 2003 only affects this category and it's in our code and all this. They'll never tell you that. So you got to figure it out. And the only way you can figure it out is through trial and error. So, and it is what it is. Den Decordipo says, I'm not going to give my stance on both the name and the platform stance because at the end of the day, it's Etsy sandbox. I have to play by the rules. It's on me to figure out how to be successful with the confines of these platforms. Absolutely. And our opinions don't matter. They give us the road and I'm with you, Den Decor. The politics, everything aside, doesn't matter. Show me the road. Show me the lines. I'll drive on it. But don't then fine me when I follow your rules. Don't give me a ticket saying you did this wrong when you never told me. So I agree with you. Art by Act says, hey, Josh, when an item is relisted with sell similar and the Google link is broken, do you know how long it takes for Google to index another link again? It does it pretty quick. I don't know the exact answer, but I heard that it's between 24 and 48 hours. But here's the thing again, Art by Act. If you are ending and selling similar on optimized items, you may be telling SEO that this item was listed once before, it didn't sell, and you're sending it the exact same information that you gave it the first time. Like, unless you're changing the photos and everything else in the listing, you're sending the exact same information that you already sent it. Now, how many times are you going to do that before that ranks lower? Where now it crawls in and it's like, this is just a copy of something I've already seen. Now, the content is no longer unique. So what could happen now is that it ranks lower. Unless you change everything in it, so you're taking an optimized listing and you're sending it over and over and over again. One of the big things with Google is that the content is unique. Expertise, something authoritative, trustworthy, but the content needs to be unique. It needs to be unique. If you just keep sending it over and over and over again, it's not unique anymore. It looks like you're copying somebody else to the algorithm. So it may index, but there's a good chance it will perform worse. That's my opinion on that. That's my opinion on that. So for us, I don't want to take something that's fully optimized and say, this is as good as the listing can get, and then take it down and then say, let's try again. Because what benefit does that do? It's optimized on all the platforms already. I would say if you wanted to make changes, change the price or, something else. If you're really concerned about this stuff, if you want it moving after a week, maybe change the price, promotions, discounts, whatever, send really good best offers. But we will not, with this business, start ending items and then sending them up again, because it gets more expensive to keep touching the item over and over again. But also it's already fully optimized. Like, it's as good as it gets. Kenneth Oro says those sales are awesome. Thank you, Kenneth. I'm super impressed with this. Yeah, things are going really well. Things are going very well. And we don't have international shipping yet. I did send 2 things out international, but we've taken it off now. So it's going to be a bit of a pain. But yeah, it's really good. Really good. For 4 days and really only 1 day of visibility, this is awesome. J.R. Rodeffer says, the edge List Easier gives us, I would call a free look into the future. Yeah. Yeah, it's how everyone's going to be doing it in the future. There's no doubt about it. Whenever you have a technology that's so far advanced, like leaps and bounds ahead like this, you just know it's like, that's the way it's going to be. When people worked in a bank in the late 1800s, they would keep these huge, massive ledgers. And the way people would calculate numbers was they would just write the numbers and do the math in the ledgers. And it was page after page after page after page. And if you're into antique ephemera, you'll find these huge bank ledgers, and it's just all these numbers written down and all this math that's been done. And that's how it was done. Then the calculator came along. Okay, so let's pretend that that's the jump where they went from writing it to the calculator. There would be people when the calculator came out that said, there's no way. I've been writing these numbers for 20 years. There's no way the calculator can outperform me. When the calculator first comes out, some people will adapt and adjust, and they'll use calculators. And now the time it takes to do all the number crunching is like seconds, whereas before it would have been 10 or 15 minutes, let's say. Once you use the calculator, you're right away, you're like, we're not going back. Like, we're not doing math equations down these huge pages. That's over now. We're not going back. But the people that don't use the calculator are like, this is the way we always have done it. We don't change because that's the way we've always done things. But once you use it, we're not going back. Those days are over. And there are people out there who don't believe that this is the future. I should watch what I say here, but there are people out there who are like, no, it's not going to take, it's a flash in the pan. I promise you are wrong, and I'm willing to stake my whole reputation on it. Rob's Special Interest says, 5 years head start. Great. I retire in 7. Boom. But you can keep going like this, Rob, if you want. You can go till you're in your 80s. We have people using the software in their 80s. You don't need to stop. It's money in the bank. Foghorn Leg says, howdy all. Good to see you. Foghorn Leg, welcome back. JR Rodeffer says software. The acronyms, JR, SW equals software. It's hard to do live because there are so many things going on and I can't pause. So sometimes I see the acronyms and I'm like, oh, I know that. What is that? Jovial Juggler says, I thought the bean counter would be a great nickname for Josh, but some view it as derogatory. Anyone out there think the bean counter is a negative term? It was meant in an endearing way. Jovial, nothing can upset me. Anyone can call me anything, just don't call me late for dinner. Honestly, I work in construction, so I don't think anyone thinks anything negative of that at all. Jared Rodeffer says, Yoda, there is no dying. This is the way. Where's John? I'm going to see John in about 10 minutes, John. You've got the voice for that. Joe Samart says, in a way, we are all bean counters, and I am proud of it. Heck yeah. Art by Act says, thanks, Josh. I stopped ending listings, and now I just let them ride. Yeah, I don't see a benefit to it as much anymore. So in the old kind of mindset, the way we did things, or the way people had done things, is it refreshes it in eBay. My opinion, I don't know, is that has become less effective. And the reason why I say that as my opinion, because other people like Primo Chemo, other influencers who have called eBay and had these discussions with it's like a sit-down team where they go through your whole store, and I forget what it's called, but they have said that End and Sell Similar is less effective. Where it is still effective is if someone new comes onto eBay and they add a search term to their watch list, then it will notify them that this item has been listed and it's in their keyword search that they've saved. That's where it benefits. But yeah, I mean, if you're in no hurry to sell things, I would just put up optimized listings, put them up at a fair price, and let her ride. That's how we're going to do it. I mean, as fast as we go here, if we were to list, let's say this number went to 1 million tomorrow, our sales would still be the same, I think. I don't think it would tick up all that much. So I think there's a little bit of it is baked in that you grow responsibly also. Beer King Picker Alex says, are you guys promoting your media items? Yeah, I don't know if we have a promotion on or not, Alex. That's a good question. So we only got visibility, I think, yesterday. Maybe it was the day before. I don't remember. They wouldn't allow us to add items into our promoted listings because when we went to go do it, it said you have no items. I think that's fixed now. I don't know if we're promoting, but we intend to, and it's not going to be a very high rate. So it's certainly not going to be in the double digits. But we do believe that you got to pay to play. You know, you got to kick some upstairs to the boss if you want to sell your items online, and that's kind of how I feel about that. Eric Bresci says, I watched the launch commercial of Microsoft Excel. It's amazing how far we have come. Totally. Even in software, you know, when you first got Windows, when it first came out, not many people had computers. Not many people used the early Windows 93 or 94, whatever the first ones were. I don't remember 3.1, 1.0. But you would get the software and the 3.5-inch discs, and you would have to call a number, and then you'd be on the phone with them for 2 hours, and they would explain how to install it and how to use it. It was so foreign to people. You know, now it's just very intuitive. It's already on the computer. You use it. It's no big deal. But back then it was, and I remember that. I remember little issues like we'd blue screen. Everyone trusts the computer now, but we'd get a blue screen and I'd have to call Microsoft and I'd be on the phone for 2 hours trying to diagnose what the issue was. I'd be in DOS, like, what is going on here? But when you adopt the technology, you know, you're like, computers are it, man. Windows is it. This is how it's going to be. Kenneth Oro says, maybe in the future we need a 5,000 subscription option. These are all definitely on the table, Kenneth. I think we got to launch Flex though. It's keeping us up at night. I'm losing my hair over it. So that's the next thing that we have to do. Lilac Seller says, thank you for doing these lives. It's so helpful for keeping up with all these quick changes in the industry. So rapid, Lilac Seller. It's moving so quickly right now. But that's a good thing because many people will refuse to change with the changes or to move with the changes. So those that are just like, hey, I don't have to change with the changes. I just got to get on the wagon and just sit there and it will be fine. You know, that, I don't know if that was a good analogy, but that's going to take us to the future. Just got to get on the wagon and just keep Let it do its thing. Mike Seller says, happy day, Josh. Good to see you, Mike Seller. Welcome, welcome. Jovial Juggler says, bean counter it is then. Thank you kindly. Lead Belt Emporium says, I'm a CPA and do not consider bean counter to be an insult. There you go, Lead Belt. Lead Belt is the authority on the bean counters. Den Decor Depot says, eBay themselves pushed 90 days as a benchmark. I've got another company doing delist and relist at 120 days. Etsy puts a 4-month limit on a listing, so it makes sense. Had to save every 5 minutes. Now it auto saves after so many keystrokes or time after changes. I think the name of the game is optimization. If you optimize your listings for onsite and offsite, you are going to get a lot of offsite sales. If you came up to me and said, would you rather your listings be optimized on Google or Etsy or Mercari or whatever Poshmark? I would say Google. I mean, that's where the traffic is, or the LLMs, because that's where the traffic is headed. So we'll maybe talk about this another time, but cross-listing, here's a bold statement, and I'll let everyone chew on this because we're at the end of the broadcast. Cross-listing is becoming less important as time goes on. In my opinion, it becomes less important as time goes on because we're seeing sales moving off-site. And we see that with our users who have offsite impressions are going through the roof, and offsite sales. So buyers are coming with 0 feedback, 1 feedback, 2 feedback, doing these guest checkouts, also going through the roof. What that is telling us is that people are not going to the platforms to buy the items. People still do. They are doing guest checkouts through Google or through the LLMs. This is a very big change. And the great thing about eBay, if you're watching eBay, is eBay has the ecosystem to take advantage of that. Their listings, when optimized, are very highly ranking offsite. Steve Vash says, I think eBay has been pushing against end and sell similar because it will be the best defense against the new ad fee attribution. Old listings will have more ad fees collected. That is true, and that's a good point, but also it pisses the buyers off. I know that because I have saved searches, things that I'm looking for that I like or collect. I hate seeing the same crap coming over and over and over and over again. Like, I didn't want that the first time. I don't want it this time. And I didn't want it the other 30 times I was shown this exact same thing. So end and sell similar puts it in front of buyers who have it saved in their search, but it pisses them off. It pisses them off. Tim says, hello, Josh. What is the best way to set up to do DVDs and VHS? Batch listing. Do it in batches. Spend all your time creating a good listing template. A bulletproof, solid listing template. Watch the videos on how to build these templates. Ask questions, whatever you need to do, Tim. Build a really good listing template. That listing template will carry you forever and ever. Amen, I promise. Charlie Goki says, I'm late again. Hey, Josh, eBay is firing on all cylinders for 2026. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. And Den Decor Depot says optimization is the key, but how many times does the optimal word order change? An automated AI redo every 6 months would be a big help. That's something we may have to look at in the future. But right now, it's flex and everybody's back for lunch. That means I'm getting the cane and I'm out of here. Everyone, thank you for joining me today, and we will see you again